podcast with some good theology. Calvinistically speaking, though I mix a manly drink, Pepsi and shoe polish, and I hit the YouTube link. Don't say hit, that sounds violent. And I feel my troubles all melt away. It's your Calvinist podcast with Keith Foskey. Beards and bow ties, laughs till sunrise. It's your Calvinist podcast with Keith Foskey. He's not like most Calvinists, he's nice.
Your Calvinist podcast is filmed before a live studio audience. And hey guys, this is Keith Foskey, and this is not Your Calvinist podcast, but I just love the intro so much I decided to play it anyway. Today we are doing something completely different, and maybe one day I'll have an intro song for this show. This show is the Keith Foskey Comedy Hour, Keith Foskey and Friends Comedy Hour, and I am joined today by a group of really funny guys, and we are going to be bantering about some funny issues and funny subjects. I'm going to bring them all in now and introduce them, and we're going to talk about what we're doing today. The four gentlemen I have to my immediate right, or your left, or whatever it is on the screen, is my friend Tim Frazier. Tim Frazier is a budding stand-up comic like myself. We've both been doing some stand-up comedy. How long have you been doing stand-up now, Tim? For a couple
about
years?
a year, about a year,
Okay.
Year and a half. So
awesome. And below him is Jake Korn. Jake Korn, who looks very unhappy. I don't know why, but he's got that. He's our serious man. He's the straight man for today. Jake is a theater student, graduate, or tell me what it is. You have a theater background, I guess is the answer, and you've done all kinds of fun stuff in that regard. And he's a hilarious person, and I wanted him to be part of today's show. He's making a face. I don't know if he agrees with me. What's your background in theater again?
Well, first, I don't like to ever be introduced as funny because then I just end up letting people down. So why don't we start low and let me come in and surprise you?
Okay.
Yeah, I was an acting major in college, which comes in really useful in the Army. I get to act like I enjoy it. And I'll act like I belong in this group.
Okay. Well, good deal. I'm glad to have you. And of course, the man below me right here, which that sounds weird, but the man on the screen below me is Marcus Pittman. Marcus Pittman is the founder and the head of Lore TV. And he's a pretty comedic person in his own right. But the subject of today is going to be movies. So I felt like having Marcus on this introductory episode would be a lot of fun. So Marcus, tell us a little bit more about yourself. And do you have you ever done stand up at all? Have you ever done comedy or?
Well, so I'm very passionate about comedy. A long time ago, we did Next Week with Jeff Durbin, which was a late night comedy show at Apologia Studios. We did about 2 seasons of that, and got to meet Chris Wineland, who was the writer for that show. And in exchange, Chris invited me, since I was doing producing a comedy show. He invited me to do stand up one time at his show, and I did one, and it went pretty well. I wasn't booed or anything, but it was also like a church comedy setting. So I don't know if that's a real, that's not a real gauge of laughter. Cause it's all like mercy laughs, right? Like it's all, you never know, but I've done it once. I've done stand up once. But I do consider myself a student of comedy. I think comedy is foundational for building out a culture. I don't think you can do it without. And every time me and Jason Farley, our chief content officer, travel somewhere, we usually go to underground comedy clubs and try to get a gauge on where the comedy is moving. And it's not moving in the gay comedy direction, I'll tell you that. Everything that's really killing it in the underground scene right now is anti-woke comedy. And so it's pretty phenomenal to watch. It's a great time. It's a great time to be a comedian with courage, for sure. So
awesome. Comedian with courage.
I
like
Let's
that.
do politics. I'm sure my commander-in-chief will love that.
You're not in uniform. It's okay.
I'm not sure your commander-in-chief knows how to use the internet, so it's okay. But to roast Biden is really just, I mean, that's like low hanging fruit, you know, it's like making fun of everybody in the nursing home. You know, it's really not a nice thing to do. Jake. Okay. Well, let me tell
I would
everybody
follow my
kind of what we're
fearless leader
doing.
anywhere.
And by God's grace, He gave you the ability to say that. I'm thankful. Yes. And let me tell you something else, Jake. Thank you for your service. I know how much you love to hear that. So thank you for your service.
Well,
We appreciate it.
I mean, you guys already paid your taxes probably, so. Well, maybe not you, Keith, but everyone else.
Yeah. Pastors don't have to pay taxes. That's why we get jets.
Oh,
My jet is a 2003 Ford F-150 where the paint currently peeling off the hood. I'm trying to figure out if I roll paint it, like if I get a rolling, like because I don't have a paint sprayer, can you roll paint on a car and it work? So comments who knows anything about painting vehicles.
Well,
you should
it'll
make
work.
a YouTube video about it where you just roll paint your car and see how it goes.
Yeah, that's good content.
I'm just talking about just the hood, just the hood.
Just the hood.
The paint.
I have
will
thought
work.
about the paint will work. You said.
Well, paint works.
Typically, it covers.
It's just a matter of how it looks, right?
What color is your vehicle?
It used to be navy blue and now it's sort of like an off faded navy blue.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it would be bad if
you should just stand out and paint the hood red, like candy apple red.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, we're getting comments now. Thank you guys for watching. Somebody said just spray paint it. Somebody else said use Plastidip. That would be neat. We could Plastidip my truck. That would be great. All right, so let me give the outline to the audience of what we're going to be doing today. As I said, we invited Marcus on. Particularly, he is a filmmaker. He owns a streaming service, and we want to help promote obviously Lore TV. We've had Jason Farley on before. He's been on to talk about what Lore is, and if you want to go back and learn more about it, you can go back and watch that show. It was a couple months ago on my program.
Yeah, because I'm tired of talking about it.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, real quick, since we do have you on, can you tell people if they want to be involved, if they want to know what you're doing, or how do they get in touch with you? Yeah.
So if you go to loor.tv, you can subscribe. And basically the way it works is the monthly subscriber spends a portion of their monthly subscription funding movies and TV shows and animated shorts and short live action films and stuff like that. And so you can go there, you can subscribe. I tell people, give it 3 months. Fund a project every week with your monthly subscription and watch the content on the platform grow over that period of 3 months, and you'll be very surprised and happy with how the platform works and how you get control over which content goes up.
Awesome. Well, we're going to be talking today. I wanted to create some fun content for this video by simply asking some questions. And I have my thoughts, I have my answers, but I want to get your thoughts and your answers on these questions. And everyone who's engaging via the YouTube comments, you can ask and you can talk to us during this. One person did already ask, where's Jake's beard? I think he has it hidden behind his army the rules for what he's allowed to wear. He's not allowed to have a beard. He's currently serving in the United States Army, so no beard for Jake. Would you have a beard otherwise, Jake? I think we might have lost Jake. Jake is frozen. Is everybody else frozen?
The
feds got yeah. Jake, you back? Hello. All right. Well, we're going to be today talking about the subject of, we're going to talk about Bible stories that would make great movies, and then great movies that would be reimagined as Christian movies, and then historical events in church history that would make great movies. That's the subject matter that we're going to walk through. I gave everybody a list, and I said, hey, this is a situation where I want to ask each of you to give your thoughts. And again, Jake, are you not there with us, buddy? I think he's and he's gone.
Rest in peace, Jake.
Oh, the rapture happened.
Angles.
The rapture.
Holy
The
cow!
We missed it.
You know what?
We missed it.
You know what's funny is wouldn't that just be the thing, right? Like the rapture occurs and the three of us realized that our eschatology was really bad. Yeah. This is our punishment. The punishment is we missed the rapture, not because we didn't believe in Jesus, but because we denied the rapture.
Oh, dang.
All right. Okay, so first out of the gate, what Bible stories do you think would make great movies? You guys want me to go first? Do you guys want to go first? Do you have something that you've thought of before? What Bible stories? Jake, you back? Okay. What Bible?
Yeah, man. I had to go pay my Wi-Fi bill. So
Okay. You about knocked your background down. All right. So
Again.
what Bible? Okay. I keep worried about your background. I think your background's going to eat
It's
you.
gonna fall right on his
Is
head.
it attached to your chair?
the problem
It's
is
like
my
one of those-
gaming throne is just too big, man.
Is it just blinds? Is that like shutters that you've attached to your gaming chair?
You know, it's like one of those changing screens from the 1850s that, you know, like women would use. You don't have that?
Do you go behind it when you're being intimate? Do you dance?
Oh,
Is this-
no.
No, never mind. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I
That's-
read Song of
that's
Solomon to my
personal.
wife from behind a screen.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So what Bible story? And let's put this caveat on it. Let's go with stories that haven't been made into movies yet, at least that we don't know of. So like, you know, no David stories, no crucifixion stories, things like that. What Bible story do you think would make a great movie? Who do you think should be cast as the lead actor? And who do you think should direct it? If you care anything about directors, I think maybe Marcus would have some thoughts on that. But anybody come up with a great idea? What Bible story would make a great movie?
Man. Sorry, go ahead, Marcus.
Well, you go ahead first, Tim.
I was just going to say the story of the Nephilim would be a banger.
Okay, all right. Haunted Cosmos starts in an hour. Okay.
But see, we have to back up, Tim. You just said the story of the Nephilim as if there's like one unilateral
the
approach.
verse.
Like, because like if you're me,
Genesis, what is it? Genesis 6:2? Is that what it is?
They were already in
But
the
if you
Noah
take-
movie.
Oh,
yeah.
Dang.
If you take the Sethite position, which I don't even want to tip my hat on that because I'm gonna make a bunch of post-millennialists mad at me because apparently I don't know what it is about post-millennialism and Nephilimism, but there's like this whole tie. Like, and maybe Brian Sauvé has created this connection. I don't know, but if you take the you know, sort of the Sproul view, which is that it's just the Sethite versus the you know what I'm talking about, Tim?
Yeah.
If you take that view, then it's, you know, it's just a movie about interracial marriage. And then, I mean, you know, it's like, guess who's coming to dinner, right? It's like,
Okay, well, let's change gears then. Sodom and Gomorrah. That
That'd be
would
awesome.
you really,
Marcus just said gay comedy's not popular right now.
Oh man, could you imagine?
Oh, my
We have to first, you know, cancel proof some of our servers and stuff down the road.
It'll
but,
be starring
yeah,
Keith and the man underneath him.
Oh, no.
okay. All right.
You said it.
I know. I'm kicking myself. Okay.
All right. So I would actually like to see. I don't like Bible stories as. Movies.
We'll be in Sodom and Gomorrah then.
Because I don't think the artists can have as much freedom as they need to be able to do Bible stories in a way that is not either blasphemous or whatever. But what I do like is I like the idea of parallel stories alongside of Bible stories. So like I was thinking like the other day, it'd be really cool to do like a whole movie on the people that made the bread for communion or the wine for communion. Like it's just about from the seed harvest to the point where it becomes bread and it makes Passover for Christ. But like just like these parallel stuff, I think there's a lot you can do that's really creative. And you could do comedies that way. You could just do full on comedies. There is a really good series that's being pitched around. It was at the NRB conference, they were showing it. And it was like The Office, but it was Moses like dealing with the Jews. And so like, they're all complaining about whatever, and they have to go to before Moses, and Moses just has to sit all day and like deal with being a leader. And he's like the opposite of Michael Scott. He doesn't think he's a good leader. It was really great. It was really great. But I think like there's always that concern of like, where's the line there? That I think actually restricts the creativity needed to be able to make something great. But if you do the parallel stuff, where it's like outside of scriptures and it's running in line with it, then I think it frees you up just to do whatever you want, and you don't have to worry about what people say about it, because it's not about scripture at all. Like you could just it's just in parallel. So like that. So those are the Bible stories I would like to see, like just during that time. Ben-Hur was one of those.
Yeah.
But isn't that like that?
So is
that
the Gospel of
cartoon
Thomas, just suggesting.
Yeah.
Yes, fantastic. Yeah, let's do that one. That'd be a great comedy.
60-foot cross coming out of the grave. And then the Gospel of Thomas, maybe I'm thinking of a different Gnostic gospel. Like, isn't there one where like a cross comes out of the tomb? Somebody in the comments.
That was the Gospel of Judas. And he talks.
Maybe. Yeah, the cross talks. Yeah. But Marcus, didn't they do that with the Nativity where the animals were talking? It was like a cartoon, but it was like these are the
star.
I think they should be good movies.
Oh, okay.
Hey, my kids probably put the Nativity in their top.
That's right, but I think there was a lot more. I think it ran a lot closer to the actual story than what I'm talking about. Like my idea is like you don't see the Bible characters at all if there's just maybe a shadow. There was actually like I heard it was a really bad blasphemous movie, but the premise I thought was really fascinating in the trailer. But it was a bunch of hip hop artists produced the movie. I forget what it was called. It's like the Gospel according to some other guy that doesn't exist. But it was basically a guy who heard about Jesus and then became a charlatan and like started doing all the miracles that Jesus was doing, and then the Romans capture him, but he becomes a believer during the process, and the Romans capture him and demand that he turns Jesus over or they'll kill him and his family. So like it was really fascinating, but I think the movie's like super blasphemous and it did really bad in the box office. Not a Christian movie at all, but like the premise was really good. I thought it was a really great premise. It's like you have a guy.
I remember that one. Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of freedom there. I just think, look, it is so lazy right now to just take Bible IP that's free and just do a version of something. Right? Like everybody is trying to do Bible IP now.
We're looking at you, Chosen.
What?
We're looking at you, Chosen. The Chosen. Yeah,
exactly.
Well, he said Bible IP.
Oh, Book of Mormon IP. My bad. I got it confused. My bad.
Yeah. Right. So I just think like there's so many stories in God's world. There's so much comedy in God's world. Like we don't have to tie it into a Bible anything. It could just be a purely funny story that has no theological gospel message tied into it at all, because comedy is God's. And so if you say it can only be a Christian comedy if it has an evangelistic gospel track at the end of it, then I think you're reducing the creativity of God and giving men the ability to tell jokes in comedy.
Yeah. And I believe that. I mean, the recapturing comedy for God in the sense of it was never not his, but I mean, but using it for his glory is what I'm all about. So I think that's great. Jake, did you have a thought of a Bible story, even though, what's your idea?
It's the opposite of what Marcus said. Okay, people are just doing Bible IPs wrong. So catch this one. I want to see the story of Gideon, right? Starring like Michael Cera. You know what I mean? Like they make Gideon out to be this like warrior, but he's really wimpy, right? He's like, do I really, God, if you really want me to do this, maybe you just like make the fleece wet, you know, like he's like this really skinny, wimpy guy. Right? Wouldn't that be good?
Michael,
I'm totally in.
And like the dudes with him, they're like Spartans. They're like huge, giant, burly guys. Like, let's just follow this dude. And it's
they're
like,
the 300
doing miracles around him. Right? That would be good. The other one I thought of was Elijah on Mount Carmel, but starring The Rock. Right? Like, I mean, yes, we like the funny part of maybe your God is pooping, but then he goes and like slaughters all those dudes by himself. Like, I would watch that.
All right. I love it. I can't get over Michael Cera saying the fleece is wet.
You'd watch
Talk
that.
about a wet blanket.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. So here was my idea. And this is, again, I think you guys have some awesome ideas and some funny ideas. My thought was Genesis 34, which is the rape of Dinah, the sister of Simeon and Levi.
Yeah, that's funny.
But the story, no. Hey, I didn't say it had to be funny. I said a good movie, because I want this movie to be in John Wick style. I want the story of Simeon and Levi going in, doing the where they convince them to circumcise themselves, and then they go in and they slaughter everybody, right? But I want this to be like John Wick style. So I mean, like who's going to play the characters, right? But it would have to be like a John Woo directed style revenge film. That's what I'm seeing. So because the whole story is a revenge story, right? And then at the end, the father's like, you've made my name, you know, you've embarrassed me, you made my name, you know, you've sullied my name, and you know, who cares? You didn't do anything. You didn't do what had to be done. And so the idea is that it's a John Wick style revenge film, but with that, again, like I said, so it doesn't have to be funny, even though I think there could be. You could make it funny if Simeon and Levi were played by Keanu Reeves and who was the other guy from Bill and Ted? Who's the guy who played? Oh, come on,
I don't remember.
No,
That was the only thing he ever did.
Is it the only thing he ever did? Who played Bill?
Yeah, he didn't do much.
Regardless, that does sound like an excellent adventure. For sure.
My
Yeah,
Wi-Fi
okay.
bandwidth is not good enough to pull up IMDb to check right now, so I don't know.
What if we got really creative with it, and what if it became a Bill and Ted 3? Well, I guess they've already done that. But it's a Bill and Ted movie where they get sent back and they have to be Simeon and Levi.
Wow.
That reminds me of what's that Bible adventure cartoon? Remember that a while back ago with the Warner Hanna-Barbera made?
Yeah.
They would actually go back in time to the Bible stories and whatnot. I think that'd be great. I would also like to see some Doctor Who episodes, not with the gay doctor that's
Dude,
now, but like
that would
like
be
with like Matt, you know, the actual doctors, the last good doctors, would go back into time to Bible stories, but they always avoid that for some reason.
mm-hmm.
So,
All right, so now we're going to think of it from a different angle. We said what Bible stories or Bible side stories, as you said, Marcus, would make good movies. Okay, what movies would you like to see reinvented as Christian movies? And I'm really thinking like the worst kind of Christian movies, like Kendrick Brothers style, you know, sermon illustration movies. But these are like here's my idea, just to get the ball rolling. I'll go first this time since I went last. I'm going to just give you my idea was if Jurassic Park was remade as a Kendrick Brothers movie for the purpose of promoting young Earth creationism. So
the dinosaurs are actually demons because Satan hid the dinosaurs in the dirt to make us doubt God. Is that what you're saying?
And you said
Well,
I've been watching too much on Cosmos.
No, they'd
No.
be plant eaters. So
Yes.
they'd be just terrified of the dinosaurs, and the dinosaurs come up and lick them like puppies. It's like, oh no, it's a fighting T-Rex, and then it just gives it a big lick on the face, and you're like, oh.
And the dinosaurs all have to have feathers.
Yeah. Well, here's the premise. Okay, underneath Ken Ham's ark, there's a scientific laboratory, right? And underneath Ken Ham's ark, they're recreating dinosaurs to prove that they could live alongside of man. Again, this is trying to argue for young Earth creationism, but they're doing it for an entirely different reason. It's still Jurassic Park. It's still science. It's still creating dinosaurs. It's still cloning them, but they're cloning them for the purpose of proving young Earth creationism. And it's a Kendrick Brothers movie, and I can just see it.
I don't want it to be a Kendrick Brothers movie. I want this to be real.
Oh, okay.
Like, could they actually? Can we start that rumor? That
If only we knew someone in the industry.
There's a secret lab. Underneath Answers in Genesis, there's a secret lab where they're doing this. Can we this needs to happen? And if it's not happening, can we raise a fund
to make it happen, to build a secret lab?
A secret lab for Answers in Genesis. That's the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
That is amazing.
I really hope that's
All right,
true.
so we could call it Ken Ham's Jurassic Park. Ken Ham's Jurassic Park. All right, that's mine. That's my if a movie was turned into a Christian movie.
Okay.
You guys have other ideas?
Yeah, hear me out. Shawshank Redemption, but it parallels Paul's time in prison, and so instead of digging a tunnel and escaping prison, he just starts singing hymns and all the doors fly open.
First time I ever saw the Apostle Paul.
You're really into the sodomy movies, man.
Oh, no. Hey.
All right.
We're all prisoners of sin.
I didn't say it. He said it.
No. Okay.
Oh my.
I'm just thinking Morgan Freeman. Is there a Christian Morgan Freeman? Is there somebody with that voice that would be able to narrate this movie?
Is James Earl Jones a Christian? Or still...
I don't know. Anybody know?
Oh, Vodi Bakum. Narrated by
Vodi Bakum. There you go. Narrated by Vodi Bakum. Got it.
That's it.
All right. Well, how can I present a real movie that Jason Farley just finished the script for?
Oh yeah.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay. So it's basically Sharknado, but it's called Feds versus Fins, or Feds and Fins. And the idea is that there's 5 youth in a youth group named Calvin, Luther, Martin, Lloyd, and Jones, and they are in an all-nighter, and the feds come with these giant. They've mutated themselves into sharks, and then they're going to come and they're going to stop these Christians from talking about Christian nationalism, and it's just so that's the basic premise, and and he actually did finish a script for it, and it is a real movie that we're going to make. We're going to figure out how to fund, because the idea is let's fund the lowest, worst Christian movie ever made. Because the idea is, it's really funny. There's a scene in it that a guy gets eaten and he's in half, and he says, "Preach the gospel to me," and the guy starts going through the 4 spiritual laws and talking about how God loves you and has a wonderful plan for your life as he's looking at. So it's fantastic.
We'll see the 7 Mountain Mandate.
It's probably Jason's best comedic script. It really is hilarious.
That's awesome.
But the idea of that is really, we can't know. Everybody takes Christian movies too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
They treat them as if they're precious, and they're not. They're just stories ultimately at the end of the day. And we can't determine what a good movie is unless we know what a bad movie is. So it's basically flipping. This is what all the trauma style films do. They flip postmodernism on their head and say, no, this is actually a bad movie, and it's on purpose. So there is an objective standard to good and bad, and this is bad. And so it's I'm really excited about that one. So hopefully we'll start funding for that soon, because the plan is to do it with all volunteers, and just be as cheap and poor as possible as part of the job.
I think you just described my ministry, but I'll
As part of the cheap and poor as possible as part of the job.
yeah. I think that's going to be underneath on my headstone. It's going to be underneath, he died like this, and this is why he was cheap as poor as possible. All right, Jake, did you have an idea for the great movies that would be reimagined as Christian movies?
Come on. All right. So the first one is Gremlins, right? Because Gremlins is already an allegory for sin. We're just going to make it a lot more obvious, right? And so, as you start to feed your sin after midnight. Yes.
Oh.
Keith, go.
No, I was just going to say, can you explain that? But you're already doing it. So go ahead.
Yeah. Right.
An allegory for sin.
It starts off cute. You bring it into your home, but then you feed it after midnight and it grows and it multiplies. And so we're going to make each of the gremlins that appears to be more obvious, specific type of besetting sin. Bonus content. I don't know how well you remember the movie Gremlins, but Deep Cut will actually show when Santa gets burned alive, because obviously Santa is against Christmas. Is against Christianity. Second idea, this is not a movie, TV show, undercover boss, but God goes to work at a janitor station in Joel Osteen's church.
Wait a minute. God is going to be okay.
Played by Bodie Bacham. Or if you want to expand the market, Creflo Dollar's church. Either or, it's fine.
I can't tell you how great of an idea that is. Just the idea of an undercover boss. That would make a great skit. I'm not going to lie. That may become, I may have to just send you like a check and pay you royalties when I make that video. Because I love to make skits. And an undercover boss skit where God visits a church to be the undercover boss. That's gold.
I'd be willing to give it my 2 CV convictions for that one.
We can make it an angel, like a herald of. That's fine.
Okay, all right. Man, that's good. That's good. All right, of the 3 questions I sent you guys, here's the last one. It's on the same vein, and then we're going to get into just some other stuff as we draw it out. But is there a historical event? And I guess we already sort of talked about this because we said, okay, movies based on the Bible, and we have our ideas about that. Movies that exist pointing back to the Bible. Third question, historical events that would make great movies that have not been made into movies. And we've had a few of these in the comments, like one brother, I had to go back and find it, but somebody in the comments mentioned the Council of Nicaea as a movie, but you have to include St. Nicholas slapping Arius. Even if it didn't happen, we still want it to happen.
I have to rewrite my joke. Thanks for that, random YouTube guy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, okay, I apologize.
That's like low-hanging fruit. Obviously, that wasn't my joke. YouTube guy.
Well, somebody shout out to the commenter there. And all right, so ideas, guys, for what historical event makes a great movie. And again, because it's not Bible, you can be creative with it.
What's that historical event that James White's always talking about? The thing in Germany or something like that? Have you he did a whole podcast with theologians about it?
Oh yeah, the Anabaptists in Munster.
Oh, is it a Baptist?
Oh yeah,
Anabaptists. They're Anabaptists in Munster, and they took over the city and started making all these laws to give us your wives, and nobody wears clothes, and they're still their skeletons are still hanging from the city entrance today.
Wow.
Will Smith just commented and said the Munster Rebellion. Thank you, Will.
Yeah, I got it right.
Bro,
you should be in my Elijah movie.
He's like my Elijah, maybe like he's making it. You should be in
I got the
my
lore
Elijah.
guy here. He loved my pitch. We're doing it.
Yeah, Marcus doesn't realize that all this is just one big pitch meeting to him.
I've accepted everyone. I've accepted. We have
I
very
took
low
directing
standards.
one in college. I'm ready.
I also like. I would love to do like an episodic an episodic TV series where every episode is a completely unique episode, like Black Mirror or Twilight Zone or something like that, or but it would be about individual martyrs from the Book of Martyrs.
Ooh, sick.
So that would be something I would like. The fact that hasn't been done is just a tragedy. So stuff like that I think would be really good. But I also one of my dream series to make would be a historical series, much like The Patriot with Mel Gibson, but it's all about the Black Robe Regiment during the time of the American Revolution. So that's
Okay.
something
Now
like.
I'm striking
I'm
off my
really
second
passionate
one.
about.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an army chaplain who's a Calvinist, so I wasn't going to bring them up, but okay, thanks for that. Go on.
But yeah, that's what I would do.
No, man, Black Road Regiment
what
is
you got?
awesome. They are the coolest.
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of directions this could go. You could do like part of me would be like, I don't know, like maybe like a Joseph Smith biopic, but as a comedy, where
Well, South Park already did that.
Oh, they
South
shut him
Park
down.
already did that.
or something,
Mormons
and
are-
then
the
you see how the Book of Mormon was built.
South Park.
The
already
Mormons
did
are.
that. Joseph was a
Oh,
Mormon.
did I
Dum, dum,
freeze?
dum, dum, dum. Have you ever seen that? It's fantastic. When
The-
I was
the-
at Apologia, Jeff Durbin told me, he's like, you
Oh,
gotta watch
wait,
this
wait,
episode
here.
of South Park by you gotta watch this episode of South Park by on Mormonism, and he said it's the most historically accurate interpretation of the start of Mormonism I've ever seen, and he's right. the
Wait a minute, I just wanna- I just want to stop for a minute and say that I think that it's interesting that Jeff Durbin told you that you needed to watch an episode of South Park. I just think that this by itself is a clip.
It's one of the most brilliant shows on television. Like if you really want to understand comedy, and why they're still relevant after 30 years on TV, there a lot of it stuff is inappropriate, but when they're right about stuff, they're dead on right about it. When especially when it came to Scientology, they're wrong on Christianity. They're completely wrong on that. But when it came to like Scientology and Mormonism, they were dead on, and they're just brilliant satirists. And I think one of the problems of Christianity right now is we don't have any brilliant satirists. We don't have any brilliant comedians, except for you, Keith. But
You're rewriting the script, man.
we don't have any really platformed high level Christian comedians, and mainly because all of our comedy, we've secluded ourselves to church comedy, and we haven't gone out and built mainstream names for ourselves and actually got into the world that as we should have. But a Christian version of South Park or a sort of adult animated cartoon series that had some sort of Christian foundation to it, I think would probably be one of the most transformative pieces of culture we've ever had. And so one day that'll happen.
Bro, two men in white button-up shirts just showed up at Tim's door. Like, someone needs to check on him. Like, he in trouble. Like, they're like, not today. We heard what you were saying.
The Mormons in charge of StreamYard have said no to Tim Frazier. He's gone. All right.
They're everywhere.
We'll be careful. We'll be careful. Well, I hope he comes back, because the last part, and I know you got to go, Marcus, pretty soon here, so we're going to wrap up. But
I got a
you
good church
do your
history
movie?
one.
Oh, do your church history. I didn't do mine either, so go ahead. Do it.
All right. Are you familiar with The Great Disappointment? This is the first.
Go
ahead.
I have 1,000 jokes about like. Never mind.
Your wedding night. Yeah. No, I got it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
No. So this is the end of the Millerites, the original Millerites during the Second Great Awakening, the not so good awakening. This was the first big end time prophecy where like this Miller dude like brought everybody to this cliff, and he was like, "Hey, Jesus is coming." And I want to kind of film it in the style of the Scott's Tots episode of The Office, just how awkward that build up to just this awkward ending. In fact, there's a historical story of one of the other preachers there saying, Jesus is stuck in the clouds. We got to pray him out of the clouds. But I think if you just play it with that real like awkward Michael Scott energy, it would be so bomb. All right, that's mine.
But just the fact that you mentioned the Scott's Tots episode as the premise behind that, I think that's very awkward.
How good would that be?
All right. Well, mine, I didn't mention mine. I forgot. Oh, Tim's back. There you go. Hey, you're back.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys. I lost audio, so I couldn't hear anyone for like the past 3 minutes. So I had to exit out and come back in.
Well, we're going. No, we thought the Mormons got you. You said something about Mormonism. You went away. I said, are the Mormons in charge of StreamYard? Because I think they raptured you out. Yeah. But my idea was kind of simple, talking about historical things. There's something called the Cadaver Synod. It was during a time in Roman Catholic history where there was a pope who didn't like the pope who came before him. So he exhumed his body, and they had his bones there, and they put his bones on trial, but there was somebody behind him who was playing him like a puppet, like answering questions, like moving his head up and like answering yes, answering no, literally holding like him like he was a puppet. And so I just think that would make a hilarious movie of some guy who's so vindictive that he's willing to dig up another guy's bones just to condemn him. It might not make a whole film. That might be like a short film, like a student film, but I think that would be a funny premise. The Cadaver Synod would just be the name of the movie. I think it'd be great. So that's my idea. All right, guys. Well, I have, we got a few minutes left. I know Marcus is going to be leaving soon, and I want to
I'll off when they contact me. So I'll stay on until that happens. So.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, what I want to do now is I know that Tim and I both are doing stand-up comedy, and I have a show coming up on April 19th. So if anybody's in Jacksonville wants to come to Murray Hill Theater, there's going to be a group of comedians there who are performing, and I'm performing along with them. And so I've been working on bits and trying. Go ahead.
Are you recording it?
Yeah, I will. I'll record it. Yeah.
Okay.
And I've already done a couple of shows, and they haven't been great. I'm working on my voice. I'm trying to find. I'm a storyteller, and sometimes my stories go long. So I'm trying to tighten up the stories to make them better. And so my thought was, if Tim wanted to do this, I know I wanted to do this. And if you guys have thoughts, maybe give feedback on some of the premises that I'm working on. Maybe give me thoughts on ideas. And maybe even if you have thoughts about skits that you think we could do. I know, like, you know me, I do videos all the time. I've been trying to get, Jake to do a funny video with me. He does podcasts with me all the time. Jake would, I just wanted to have an idea session, and I wanted to hear from the audience. That's why we're doing this live. So that's what the next portion is about, is just throwing out comedic ideas, whether it be for videos or skits or bits, things that we're working on. And that was what this last portion was going to be about. And I know not everybody here does stand up, but if you have ideas or thoughts or things that you thought would make a funny bit, that's what this part was going to be about. So Tim, what's a bit you're working on right now that you'd want to talk through and kind of share with us what you're working through?
Yeah. So I've got one I've been working on. It's a short one. Sometimes, especially when I'm doing open mics, you have to get a laugh very quickly, right? Or it's game over. So whereas sometimes I have like narrative style bits, a lot of times I just kind of focus on, one after another punchlines kind of a situation or scenarios, right? So one that I'm working on right now is like everybody in the world is on a health kick right now. So I have all these people around me who are trying to quit smoking and drinking because it's like one of the hardest things you can do. Like everyone says, quitting smoking is super hard. And I go into how I read that book by David Goggins, and he talks about how doing hard things makes you a better person, and we're all supposed to do hard things. So in that spirit, I've started smoking and drinking a lot. So when I try to quit, it's going to be way harder. And so it was either do that or run a marathon, and I have bad knees. So that's the whole bit right now that I'm trying to line out. I have to kind of get the verbiage down and condense it, and maybe add a couple other little lines in there. But that's one that I've been working on for a couple of weeks. So
speaking of running, I have a little offhanded comment that I make sometimes, and it's kind of funny. I'll tell people I'm in training for my first half K. Half K is only like 800 feet, but it's a lot for me. So this is like, there's people like, I'm training for a 5K. I'm training for a marathon. Well, I'm in training for my first half K. It's about the distance from my couch to my refrigerator. That's
yeah.
So what about you guys? You guys have any thoughts or bits? I have some things I want to work through, but don't want to leave you guys out. Is there anything that you've just thought, hey, this would be funny, or this would be something that?
Well, I really try not to be funny. I was funny in high school, and that's how I ended up in the Army. So, I'm actually really trying more to be financially responsible and like a good parent. So the funny thing didn't work out for me. I ended up here. That's really all I got to show for it. So thus far, I'm not really the guy you should ask.
Yeah. I don't have a funny bit or idea, but I'll just come in with some encouragement and say, what you guys are doing as comedians is vitally important. And I don't think people understand how foundational comedy is to a Christian culture. And without that, we really do lose. And a conservative politics right now has no comedy in it. There's nothing funny. Everything's taken so seriously. I think what you guys are doing should be encouraged and praised. And you guys should have the freedom to go on stage and bomb and fail and get better. And I think that's really hard to do in the church comedy context. Because I talk to Christian comedians all the time, and their act has to be pristine before they go out to the church circuit, because if they fail at the church circuit, they never get invited back again. And so just like continue working on your joke craft, watch people, take a classical education approach to comedy, which is just watch people, even though you might disagree with them or find them inappropriate or whatever, but like learn the skills and the craft that's involved in that sort of thing. And really start like pioneering the craft of comedy again. It's super important. And now is like the time to really work on those jokes and sets, because seriously, me and Jason went to the Comedy Cellar in New York City. It's like one of the most popular comedy clubs. It's hard to get tickets. We were fortunate there's a guy there that night that was passing some out. So we got tickets to the Comedy Cellar, and I kid you not, every comedian that came up there told jokes with a conservative lean except one lesbian. Lesbian gets up there and she says, "Where's my lesbians at?" And nobody raises their hands. Like nobody raises their hands. She's like, "Hey, nobody raised their hands." And somebody in the audience said, "I'm a queer," and she's like, "You don't count." And then she said, "Who wants to see my scar?" And she lifts up her like appendix scar or whatever, and then just like walks off stage. Like, so she completely failed. Nobody finds that comedy funny anymore. So that's a real opportunity for Christians to come in and go, you guys can really run the comedy world. Like at the Comedy Cellar in New York City, in the liberal city, you guys can actually own it because everything is so anti-woke now in the comedy world. And 10 years from now, the best comedians, and so we're already starting to see it, the highest grossing comedians now are all ones who take jabs at the woke left and whatnot. So we see that from Chappelle. We see that from a lot of the comedy Joe Rogan's not a comedy podcast, but Joe Rogan for sure. And then and then that, and just like study the craft. That's so important. Like nobody studies the craft in Christianity. Like you're not going to learn to be a great comedian if you only watch Tim Hawkins. Like you have to watch everybody. And like, you know, Conan O'Brien, he's getting back on TV and stuff, so he's doing a lot of press stuff, and he's doing a travel show. And this guy's a Harvard grad. Conan O'Brien's a Harvard grad. He's doing a travel show, and he said to his crew before they started filming the travel show, I want to go to these countries, and I want people to learn less about the country than when I got there. And what he meant by that is, I want the show to be funny. Like funny is the priority for the show, and the learning is something they'll retain secondary. But if it's not funny, they're not going to watch the show, and they're going to learn anything. So the main focus is comedy and not learning about the culture, not learning about the country. And he said that too on his late night show too, where it's like dumb comedy is more important than smart comedy. And so I think like that's something we have to learn, because we think that all of our jokes that we craft as Christian comedians like have to have some sort of theological leaning or bend to it. And it doesn't. Like it could just be funny because God made funny. He also said on the Hot Ones interview, he was asked if he was teaching a class and on the history of comedy, what old books would he reference to show that the basic building blocks of comedy have always been around? And he said there's comedy in the Old Testament and there's comedy in the New Testament. So that'd be my encouragement to you guys as comedians. Just like work really hard, perfect your craft, and fail over and over and over again. And it's okay if the church crowd gets mad at you for telling a joke, because that's how you get better. And we need to have a backbone for that, and that's just part of bombing.
Well, I appreciate that. That was super encouraging to me, and I'm kind of struggling right now because I really enjoy comedy. I've been a consumer of comedy and a lover of comedy since I was 6 years old. Introduced to comedy through Bill Cosby, of all people, which I know his life became a dramatic downturn. But as far as his ability to tell stories and make me laugh as a child, it was just sort of what sort of was formative, and growing up and listening to people. And the other day I had an opportunity to spend 30 minutes with a comedian who'd been doing it for over 10 years. And he wasn't a Christian comedian. He was just a guy who was at the same club I was doing. And he was very nice to me, was very encouraging. He listened to my set. He said, hey, your stories are a little long. They're funny at the end, but you got to get there quicker. And that was helpful for me to hear somebody who's been doing it, to give me real live immediate feedback. That was helpful. But it was also interesting because he's like, well, yeah, if you do this, you could do this, and you could do this, and you can make money here and make money here. And I was like, well, my main job, my life, my calling is pastor. I do comedy because I love it, and I think it's funny, and I think it does engage the culture. So it really is like there's like, this is something I want to get better at because I enjoy it, but it isn't something I want to pursue as a job or anything like that. And so that's where I think it would be different for me than others. Yeah. Say that again, brother.
I was going to say, yeah, that's me as well. It's not like something I want to.
Oh, and he's gone again.
That's a good joke.
Yeah. I don't know what happened.
I was going to do that joke, but he stole it. Let me get my notes.
But here's, I did say we're going to keep this to an hour. Let me give you what I'm working on. You tell me if you think this is funny, because I'm working on this for the 19th, and this will be where we try to draw everything in. The last couple times I performed. No, I think that's hilarious. All right, Tim, you're back.
I keep getting raptured out of here. I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah, I don't know.
It didn't take though.
Well, I'm going to work through, or I'm going to talk through a bit I'm working on. You guys tell me if you think it's funny or if you think it's going to go. If it's not going to go, you give me your feedback. And again, people in the comments, give me their feedback as well. I'm not going to do it as if I'm performing it. I'm just going to talk you through why I think this is funny. One of the things that I want to mention that I have,
I love it when jokes are explained.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what I wanted to say is I want to walk on stage and I want to say, welcome to everybody. My main job in life is I'm a pastor, and being a pastor normally makes people very uncomfortable. It's like saying God's representative has entered the chat. You don't want that guy around if you're trying to have fun. So tonight, I've basically just thrown a big blanket over this entire event because I've told you I'm here, so you're not allowed to have fun. So that was kind of my first like thought. And my wife and I, years ago, she was working for this big company, and we went to this big event. Everybody was drinking. She introduces me to her boss's boss, like the head guy of the company. And he turns around, he's 3 sheets to the wind. He's basically falling over at the bar. And she says, "Hi, this is my husband. He is a pastor." And the guy went, whew. He got really straight. He grabbed my hand. He pulled me in tight, shoulder to shoulder, and whispered in my ear, "I went to the altar last week." That's what he said. This is a guy who's drunk. He's 3 sheets to the wind. He pulls me in. He goes, "I went to the altar last week." And my only thought was, I don't think it took. Okay. Nobody laughed. I don't even know if you can hear me. Okay. Does that make sense? Is it like kind of just like the God's representative thing? Is that making sense? Is it holding together?
I like it.
Okay.
Again, like that's a very distinct character that you have as a pastor doing comedy. And so I would just lean into it. I would lean into it and really like dive into the weird and awkwardness of that, I think. And also hit them with what they don't expect from a pastor. You know, like those sort of things. But yeah, I think Jerry Seinfeld says all the time, this goes back to your point about shortening things. Jerry Seinfeld says he meticulously removes any unnecessary word from every joke. Like that's like his focus is like, it's not about shortening the story. It's about is that word necessary? And so like, that's super important. And the comedian who told you that is like super right. So.
Yeah. Awesome. I did real quick. I was going to say that as a pastor, there are jobs that we do that are outside of the normal part of our job. And I know Jake is a pastor, so he would understand this. You have your normal duties of study, pray, preach, all those things, but then you have the extra things. And for me, it's weddings and funerals. And one of those is exponentially worse than the other. And it's not the one that you think. Because it's the wedding that's terrible. A funeral can be planned, produced, and executed in less than 48 hours perfectly, no problems. But a wedding, on the other hand, has something called premarital counseling. Premarital counseling is where you're taking two people, you're putting them through a course, telling them this thing that they're about to enter into is going to be the most important thing in their life. It's going to last the rest of their life, and they only get to try it once. And we're going to learn all of this in 4 weeks. Air Force boot camp is twice that, and you're only expected to do that for 4 years. All right. So that's kind of.
Yeah.
All right.
I like
so
that.
I just wanted to, Okay. I'm working through it. Guys, I want to thank y'all for being on the show today. Tim, did you have anything else you wanted to add because we're over the hour now, I want to begin to close us out.
No, you're good. I'm good. I appreciate it. And this has been a lot of fun.
Well, I'm hoping to do this maybe once every 6-8 weeks, just get a group of guys on. And
they're calling me at the other place.
Marcus, thank you so much. And we're praying for you guys over at Lore that it continues to be successful. God bless.
Don't steal my undercover boss idea, Lore.
Hey, I want to make that with you. We can do that. Hey, man, we can do that in my green screen studio. It's right here.
That's amazing.
All right. So, Jake, thank you for being on, for having some fun ideas to share with us, and for giving some good feedback. I appreciate it. And Tim as well. Guys who are watching, thank you for being a part. I've loved the comments I've seen come in. I'm sorry I wasn't able to respond to every one of them. If you like this and you want us to do it in the future, leave me a comment below. And maybe every month and a half or so, I'll get a group of guys on who love comedy and want to talk about it. And if you have a subject you'd like for us to address, like today we talked about movies, maybe you'd like to see us talk about something else, leave it in the comment and we'll look forward to it in the future. God bless you guys and have a great day. Bye, Jake.
Bye,
Tim.
See y'all later.